This video is going to show all of the things that help me create, my geek space and the tools within that fuel my creative output. I've always been fascinated by the tools and gadgets that creators use. In some strange sense, I feel like if I was to use the exact pen that my favorite artist used, my drawings would improve. For me, I think this goes way back to the days of wearing Jordans, because I knew they would help me jump higher. This isn't the case, but regardless, I'm doing a bit of an office tour and the tools within that this guy, me, the Dungeon Master, uses. Maybe something here wasn't on your radar, and after seeing it, you'll need to go out and get it immediately. If nothing else, maybe you'll find some entertainment here. I'll put links in the description to help you find everything, or at least most things. Much of the cool bits on my office walls are personal things that one cannot simply acquire on the internet. My space begins and ends at my computer desk. It's a beefy thing given to me as a gift. The desk is more along the lines of lawyer desk rather than gaming desk, but the space and all the handy workspace parts really shine. I'd have it no other way, and it's far and away better than any gaming desk I've seen. Along with the monitor, the thing that you stare at all day, your office chair is the most important purchase that you can make. While I run my D&D sessions at a large dining room table, all of my prep and plan time is at my computer. My chair is a juggernaut of comfort and expense. It's called an Embody by Herman Miller, and it's stupid expensive. You don't need it, but it's ridiculously amazing. Next is my monitor. A new one is on the horizon, but for now, what I have is a 32-inch 2560 by 1440 BenQ. It's a lot more graphic design based with excellent color properties and all the designery stuff, but it is sufficient for gaming. At around 350 American dollars, it does the job. I used to run dual monitors, but I wanted to clear some space on my desk. I think I missed my second monitor, but instead of going that route again, I've really got my eye on some ridiculous 21:9 widescreen curve type of thing. A quick mention will go to the hardware, notably my PC, which is custom built, but it's nothing too fancy. It's a couple of years old by now and easily upgradable. My take is as follows. If I can run all the games I want to play on high or ultra settings, it's going to be sufficient for my design needs. I've thought about venturing into a beefy Apple iMac Pro sort of thing, but I'd lose a lot of my gaming. For now, it's PC and Windows. If you plan to do any art, cartography, or quite simply anything remotely abstract or creative, get a tablet. I have a big Wacom tablet and my eye is set on a Cintiq, but so long as you have a tablet, any tablet, you're golden. Don't draw with your mouse. It's too tedious and it eats at creative energy. For software, you need three things, at least I do. Adobe software, a Word writing sort of thing, and D&D Beyond. First is Adobe Creative Suite. Without it, this video would be difficult to produce. I edit in Premiere Pro and I use Photoshop almost daily, as I have for over 20 years. Then there's InDesign. You may have seen a video or two about the high-end production of a professional-looking document. When it comes to player handouts and printed things, I always create an InDesign and I save it as a PDF. The second thing I need is Microsoft Word. Notepad works, as does Google Docs. I just simply use Word. As most of my written layout is finalized in InDesign, Word has sort of become my new notepad, a place for some quick brainstorming and note-taking. Now, if I was writing and writing only, I'd use Word. But as recently, much of my content has some sort of visuals, a map, a picture of an NPC, and so on, InDesign has become my go-to for creating written content. Word does the job for getting my mind on paper though. Finally, and most importantly, is D&D Beyond. I have the Legendary Bundle and I'm quick on the pre-order button, so I get it all when it's available. Interestingly, while all but a few of my players have fully converted to using D&D Beyond and almost no books, at the table and during the actual session, I don't touch D&D Beyond. I use it for prep, but once the game flows, I like the tactile feel of pencil, yellow notepad, actual dice, and books. No screens or monitors to scroll around on. I believe the digital side of things, phones, laptops, and iPads, they're all sort of a barrier, and they mess with my sense of imagination. Now, I'm not saying I need to play in candlelight, as I find it senseless to go that far down the path of immersion when your players can't see what they're writing down. But I am a bit old school, and I like the analog, at the table, and using full digital in prep time. As to dice and pens, I've got boxes and bins of pencils, pens, and markers, but I keep my go-tos in this pencil case here. It keeps all I need in the right place. I am a bit obsessive about my pens and such. I'm not saying that I've got loads of Mont Blancs, but to me, spending hundreds of dollars on a freaking pen isn't ridiculous. I'm that guy. I'm obsessed with my writing implements, and with a trip a few years ago to an obscure stationery shop in Japan, trust me, not all pencils, pens, markers, and paper are the same. There's a world of difference if you go down that route. I digress. My dice are a mix of ones that feel good in my hands, ones that are easily readable, and a set of dice I've had for 20 years. These green ones are known as my TPK dice, as I've ended many a campaign with them. At the table, to contain the chaos, I use these circular dice trays. Speaking of at the table, I bring a bunch of D&D books with me. As mentioned, D&D Beyond and the online interface is my go-to for prep, but I'll have these babies right next to me when I play. As for other table bits, I have paper, and loads of it. If my obsession about writing implements was any indication, I'm a bit overboard with my paper. It's certainly more tame, but let's just say I've got enough variety in what I write on. This stuff goes everywhere, not just at the table during game time. You'd find my journal next to my bed, in 11 different drawers throughout my house, on my computer desk, and in my car. Sketchbooks and places to jot things down quickly. Now, admittedly, some of my journal efforts lately have gone digital, using a 99 cents per year notepad file that's on my phone. But, as with pens and pencils, there's just something satisfying about the feel and sound of scratching a good pen against gorgeous linen paper. Once we get down to battle space, I use a combination of dry erase, a large variety of terrain mats, and tons of foam terrain. I could go the Dwarven Forge route, but I truly enjoy the build-it-yourself process. The downside is the grunts and groans from the wife, as storing foam is a thing. For minis, I used to use Pathfinder pawns. Well, I still use them, but I'm slowly gathering up a supply of actual minis for my gaming space. As to pawns and cardboard sorts of things, I've got all I ever need with a collection of near 1,000 pawns purchased in 3 to 4 box sets. It'll take a while for me to gather a supply of actual minis in equal quantities, but the miniatures just look so much better in the battle space. Let's not even go down the route of painted versus unpainted. I'm going to be painting this stuff for years, but I've got some paints and okay brushes for the job. Combined with YouTube, I believe I have what I need to do a passable job on all my miniatures. It's just going to take me half a decade to paint them all. As to paint and craft space, I have 2 main areas, each in my office. If I want to spend more time with my family, I'll clutter up the dinner table, but for the most part, I'm in my cave. For my first space, I have a toolbox with space to work, and another is a crafting table that I built. I stand at each and I put in the work, and it's nice to have everything I need in arm's reach. In this sense, I've tried to emulate as much of the Adam Savage workspace as possible. With so many random knickknacks, bits, pieces, chits, and junk, that it's all a well of inspiration for the creative mind. It's sort of turned my office into less of a display piece and more of a functional space, but my productivity has increased. I don't just stare at pretty stuff all day. I create pretty stuff. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have my museum in full effect. I enjoy looking in any direction of my office and catching a glimpse of the many things that provide good energy. And it does give a decent background to my videos. Speaking of videos, I've got an old camera which is still a beast for high-end video, but I recently purchased a new toy. It's what's doing the grunt work right now. I have this thing called a Parrot, which is my new prompter for scripts and reading on camera. And I've got a webcam for live video or quick creative uploads. I've got more microphones than one person could need, and of course, I have my phone for quick photos and such. In all, I've got the space to work, the tools to get the job done, and the visual and design software and hardware to share it all online via YouTube and other social media. The question is, how much stuff does one person need? And is what I have enough? It's never enough. As long as Amazon Prime exists, there's always going to be an hour per week of mindless browsing for things that I never realized I needed. That's all I have for you folks. Thanks everyone, and take care.